Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends beyond the binary, it's time for the podcaster. If I was a candied heart, even though this is the wrong time of year for candied hearts, if I was a candied heart, hopefully I'd be the one that they're still making. And I would say your choice, I think, because you could choose lulling, soothing tones, pointless meanders, creaky dulcets, skipping the intro, falling asleep. Listen, your choice, my dear listener, dear listeners. I'm here to help. Thanks for listening. And here's a couple of ways. If you're a regular listener, if I could just have your attention for this part, because this is how we keep the show going. Hey, everybody, I wanted to tell you about our sponsor, Robinhood. If you want to talk about an easy, no-brainer way, an app that I'm actually really having a lot of fun using, it's Robinhood. Robinhood is an investing app that lets you buy and sell stocks, ETFs, options, and cryptos, all commission-free. While other brokerages charge up to $10 for every trade, Robinhood doesn't charge any commission fees, so you can trade stocks and keep all of your profits. It gets even better. There's no minimum account deposit needed to get started, so you can start investing at any level. And if you listen real quick, you can get started investing for free. Now, the simple, intuitive design of Robinhood makes investing easy for newcomers and experts alike. You can even get index funds on there. It's amazing. You can view easy-to-understand charts, market data, stock collections, such as 100 most popular, and place a trade, all with just 4 taps on your smartphone. With Robinhood, you can learn how to invest in the market as you build your portfolio. Discover new stocks, track your favorite companies, and get custom notifications for price movements so you never miss the right moment to invest. And here's where, I don't understand why I haven't heard from every listener on this one. Listen, this is free and easy. Robinhood's giving listeners to sleep with me a free stock like Apple, Ford, or Sprint to help build your portfolio. And all you need to do is go to sleep.robinhood.com to sign up. It's that easy, sleep.robinhood.com. Hey, everybody, I just wanted to thank a couple of people that have supported the sponsors. I wanted to thank Margot and Shelly, who both purchased things from Brooklyn and sheets and towels. And they got 10% off their first order and free shipping because they use the promo code WITHME at brooklinen.com. And I got to try these Brooklinen towels. That's next on my list. I also want to thank Zach. And I don't know why I'm not hearing from more people. Zach went to sleep.robinhood.com and got a free stock just for signing up. That's sleep.robinhood.com. Literally free stock just for signing up. So let me know if you support the sponsors. It's really a huge way to help keep the show free for everybody, and I really appreciate it. Thanks, Margot, Shelly, and Zach. Thank you so much. You could also find out all our sponsors. Just remember, when your hand hits the fridge tomorrow, sleepwithmepodcast.com/sponsor. Mystery Bard, how else do we keep the show going? There's a bunch of people that help out working on this show, right?
This posty poster song sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes too. Carl W. the legend. Also edits episodes. Kenny, Scotty, and Jennifer. Runner. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the Mystery Bard. I do the lullabies. Got a new album out. I think you really like it. You can get a copy at JonathanMann.net. Also, I made a longer version of this credits song. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Laura, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. Get support, dear Scooter, on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance to be part of Nine Vale Presents. So now on with the show.
Thanks, Mr. Bard. I'm at Dear Scooter on Twitter and Instagram. That's the best way to get me. If you're a patron and you're listening to this, make sure you have your RSS feed enabled and you're listening in a podcast app to your bonus material. And you can find out how to do that at sleepwithmepodcast.com/Patreon FAQ, Patreon FAQ. Thanks. And what do you say we get on with the show? Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts, thinking, stuff on your mind, physical sensations that you're experiencing, or feelings that happen to be coming up or that you're dealing with. Whatever it is, it could be changes in time, temperature. It could be just, if you're traveling, the night before travel thing, that happens to me. I mean, it all happens to me. Got something big tomorrow. I had something big yesterday. Whatever it is that's keeping you awake, I'd like to take your mind off of stuff and to keep you company and to help you fall asleep. Also to maybe brighten up your mood, or just to be here to keep you company. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to send my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders, superfluous tangents. I'm going to try to smooth and basically create an auditory safe place. With like an auditorium. I wonder if that's because they thought the acoustics were good in there. But this is an auditory safe place where you say, well, I associate auditoriums more with like having my like sit up straight situation. And I say, no problem. This is not an auditorium. This is a safe place. You could lounge. You could sit. Some people like sitting up straight. So if you want to sit up straight, go ahead. You want to lie down, you want to kick back. Also, you could change positions at any moment. Like I said, all you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. So what I'm going to basically do is structurally, if you're new, welcome. First thing I'm going to do is do some rapport building. And all my ratings on rapport building have come in poor. They say your rapport... So for I don't know, also my rhyming around rapport, it is poor. But ideally, it'll lead you to snore. I didn't even realize snore rhymed with rapport until, and you say, Scoots, there was 27 intros where you rhymed rapport and snore. Well, I forgot about those. It's a good thing. I have, I guess when I say I'm not absent-minded, my memory is absent. They say, can you check in memory's office and see if where we are with those rapport jokes? You say, yeah, sorry, Scoots, memory's out of the office, OOF or whatever. So how many days in a row has memory been absent for work? Well, memory usually rolls in around 10:15. Checks the break room, checks the snack room. It checks the outdoor work area, and then circles back around. Then, I don't know, it says I got some meetings, so I'll see you. I got to run out to a client. Okay, we'll hold up. Aren't I my memory's only client? Like I said, Scoots, I'm just delivering the message. Then maybe some days those meetings, memory will text me and say, you know what, this is a big, I got to run over. Sometimes it'll be personal. Let's say I need some, sometimes the memory says, I have some in lieu time from when I was working late the other day. So I won't be back in the office actually this week again. Wow, I think I've worked with a lot of people like this memory, and sometimes memory will come back after lunch to sit, to chill or check back in with people. Then usually around 2:15 to 3 p.m. If memory's in the office, usually taking a little snooze. If not, usually out of the office. Okay, great. I got to get back to I don't want to be absent in my rapport building. So that was a superfluous tangent if you're new. Structurally, I wanted to give you what to expect. I wanted to do it about 4 minutes ago. But that really gives me some insight into some stuff. I don't know. Hopefully I'll write this down later. Say, okay, when it's time for Can you give your memory a performance a review? Looks like another part of my brain just pulled out, too. Maybe they're out to lunch together. Also, when they say out to lunch, now for me, this has a whole new meaning. I'd say, oh, I thought that was a metaphor. You're serious. They're not going to be out to lunch for the rest of the day. My memory and my vocabulary brain, they're like at a mimosa-based lunch somewhere. And it's friggin' Tuesday. I say, what in the heck? Like, you got to have this episode out. So anyway, if you're new, sorry about that. Structure, what to expect. The show starts off with business. That's how we keep it free. Then there's, because it's a sleep podcast. Then there's an intro. The intros are around 12 to 15 minutes or so. Kind of a show within a show. They're actually a part of the podcast that you are welcome to skip. You can skip ahead to about 18 minutes. But most people, as they start to listen to the podcast, it kind of becomes part of their wind down routine or their falling asleep routine, kind of depending on the listener. Some people like to start it before they get in bed and they kind of listen, maybe they do some light crocheting, maybe some medium weight crocheting, maybe some heavy knitting. I don't know. Or, any of those metaphorically, crosswording, I don't know if journaling, I may be distracting, doodling. Here's something. Let's start this together. I didn't mean to go off topic once again, but maybe this could be part of a thing we do together, bedtime doodles. Also, maybe if my lawyer is listening, let's see, can we afford to trademark that? No. Okay, I have that answer. Bedtime doodles, the newest Netflix. Call me back. I'm serious, by the way, but, actually, don't call me back. Message me. But let's do this. I think that's a show we could do, bedtime doodles. Also, if you're looking for a nickname for me, I think I'd like to be called Bedtime Doodles from now on. Doodles is nice. That's what they'd say, too. But what if we do some bedtime doodling? And doodling and noodling aren't that different, with your pen. So you could do any of those things. You could skip the intro. More and more people do listen during the day, especially if they have a coworker like my memory, where you say, okay, I guess I'll just do the memory's work for it. That's what I usually do, especially since I work for myself now. Can't believe it, but you say, well, life lessons, I keep learning them, even when I work just for me. But where was I? You could skip the intro, but it's kind of part of a show. See how it goes. Then there's a business. That's, again, that's important to keep the podcast free for everybody. Then there's a bedtime story. Tonight will be our ongoing episodically modular series, Big Farm in the Sky, PI, Season 2, Phantom Minnow Season. That's a mouthful. And that'll just be a nice bedtime story. Tonight will be a really nice one, I think. And then we have some thank yous at the end. There's structurally what to expect. This is a podcast you don't really need to listen to or make sense of if you don't want to. You could kind of just kick back in bed if you're new, see how it goes, give it a few tries. We just passed our 2000th written review on Apple Podcasts of people taking the time to write a review, which I really appreciate. And a lot of them say, hey, it took me 2 or 3 tries to get used to the show. And by the way, if you're saying, well, I'm listening to this and I think you can also, if you definitely think the show's a 1-star show, go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you. I got some resources for you but give it a few tries. See how it goes. I'm just here to help. And there's also no pressure to fall asleep. The reason the podcast is an hour and there's 300 episodes ready to go is that if you need them, I'm here. I'm here to keep you company. I'm here at the episodes all the way to the end so that if you can't fall asleep, that I'm here to keep you company. I know there is listeners out there, and I care about you. In all honesty, I do. I care about you if you fall asleep in 1 minute. I care about you if you fall asleep in 18 minutes. I care if you're waking up in the middle of the night and you're listening for 20 minutes to say, hey, Scoots, keep me company while I fall back asleep here. if you're on the other side of the world, I care. And I don't know, what was the main example I said? If you're going to write me one, I don't know if I care for your opinion about like that thing, but that's why I said go to sleepwithmepodcast, no thank you. But, sleepwithmepodcast.com. Sorry, but, I do care. Sorry. Sometimes I have to break up the intimacy with, subtle humor. But yeah, if you can't sleep, however you use the show, yeah, I believe you do deserve a good night's sleep. And, I'm here to the very end because I know how it feels when you can't fall asleep too. And I don't know. That's why I make the show, is to make bedtime less of a rigor and, more like a roll. Or when you say roll, like if you go to a Renaissance festival and they have cinnamon rolls or any kind of roll, and you say, or you're selling rolls, and you want to say, instead of more rolls, you say, rolls, milady, my lord, rolls. You'd be surprised at how much crossover there is between being a salesperson at a Renaissance festival and making a sleep podcast. This isn't the only time this has come up. Like malaise, like that's another one you can use at Renaissance fairs. You say, let's take the malaise out of malaise. Take it, bring it to a Renaissance festival, find the queen and her, whatever they're called, the party, and you say, malaise, queen, malaise. And the same thing, if you're selling rolls, or you say to your friends, hey, I'm going to get something. You want my rolls? I don't know if there's any restaurants, like sit-down restaurants with rolls on your table, but if you were a part of the wait staff, you could say, let me see, any refills here? Any rolls, my lords, my ladies? Okay, I guess I got to the point, which is usually these intros, they reach a point, and it's it's a nub-like point, but I'm here to help. That's the main thing. I wanted to get across. So give the podcast a few tries, see how it goes. I'm here to help. I'm very glad you're here and give me this chance to kind of earn your trust. And again, it doesn't have to be like an all or nothing thing. You say, well, I'm not so sure about this podcast. Next time you listen, you might say, I had no idea what that podcast was. Then sometimes between those two listens and the next time you listen, you go to a Renaissance fair and you start giggling. Then you say, why was I giggling at the Renaissance fair saying malaise and maroles? And also, if you were like, you could do like, I don't know. I was trying to figure out a way to say, like, get the rigmarole in there without being like saying wiggity whack. So where was I? I got off topic. I rolled without rigor. I've been rolled. I've been rickrolled. Don't rickroll anybody at a Renaissance festival either. Well, I guess you could if you were. Well, here's the thing. How about Rick? Anybody? Could we do a GoFundMe to get Rick Astley at a Renaissance festival dressed up with a mandolin or something, and just rickroll? Is anyone ultra wealthy that actually listens to this podcast? Or sometimes Max from Cards listens. So somebody send Max this message, or Alex at Cards too. What if, I realize you say, well, Hello Scoots 2004 called that. And I say, well, that's about my style. Like, well, it's different because it would say, I just think that would be cool. And if we could get Rick, Mr. Astley, is it, okay, sorry. I gotta wrap this intro up though, Mr. Astley. But if we could get you, if your people, well, I don't have it, like, if we could work that out, be excellent. And it would be something I would never, I'd never want to give it up. You might find a whole new life in Renaissance fairs. Anyway, sorry, I'm glad you're here. I'm really excited to put you to sleep tonight, to keep you company, to take your mind off of stuff. I appreciate you coming by. I work very hard on this show, and I yearn and I strive to help you fall asleep. And here's a few of the ways we're able to keep this show going. Hey, everybody, I wanted to talk about tonight's sponsor, Quip. You go to getquip.com/sleep to get started, right, Mystery Bard?
Q-U-I-P, Q-U-I-P, get Quill. Q-U-I-P, Q-U-I-P, get Quill. Brush your teeth now. U-I-P, brush your teeth. U-I-P, get Quill. Brush your teeth now. U-I-P, brush your teeth. U-I-P, get Quill.
Here's the thing. Quip is a better electric toothbrush created by dentists and designers. It's the best of both worlds. Quip is one of the first electric toothbrushes accepted by the American Dental Association. It has thousands of verified 5-star reviews. It has sensitive sonic vibrations, so it's gentle on your sensitive gums. Some people brush too hard or they use abrasive, intense electric toothbrushes. Quip is just right. I mean, I got one for my brother Ken because his dentist said, dude, you're brushing too hard. I don't think his dentist used the term dude, but it is in my imagination. I mean, not only do I love using Quip, I love giving Quip as gifts. I think it's like the 2-minute timer, the fact that it has a nice, clean design. It comes with a multi-use cover. And then it's easy because of brush heads. And if you want the toothpaste, get delivered on a dentist recommended schedule every 3 months for just $5. So that's why I love Quip. Over 1 million happy, healthy mouths do. And they're backed by over 20,000 dental professionals. Quip starts at just $25 if you go to getquip.com/sleep right now. Go ahead, I'll wait for you. Getquip.com/sleep. And you say, why right now, Scoots? Well, you get your first refill pack for free with a Quip electric toothbrush. So get over there because that's your first refill pack free at getquip.com/sleep. That's SLEEP. So go ahead, I'll type it in with you. getquip.com, / that's a / SLEEP. Thanks, and thanks, Quip. All right, everybody, welcome to our latest episode of our episodically modular series, Big Farm in the Sky, PI, Season 2, the Phantom Minnow season. And this is a series featuring 3 main characters, DK and G, 2 twins, and Simon, their uncle. Now, DK and G are currently living in Florida, in the Towns, which is like the largest retirement community in the United States that I'm aware of. And they're twins, though. They're working. They live with DK's Aunt Penny, and they're running their own business there, a PI business, and a kind of, also cleaning out your garage. Those are some original things they did. It's a working sabbatical from their school, and they're also in not constant contact, but pretty good contact with DK's, G's uncle. Thank you, Brain. Simon, so DK and G live in Florida in a retirement community on planet Earth, current day, and Simon used to live on planet Earth current day. Now Simon has transitioned from earthly life to a big farm in the sky life, which is one of the one of a variety of places you could do after you say, well, sometimes you after your earthly existence, and you get transferred, they say, well, they don't, that's the thing. They never say, hey, next week you get you, but so, not exactly sleepy stuff. So Simon was transferred from living an earthly life to living a big farm in the sky life. And in season 1, Simon said, well, I got this new life. What am I going to do with it? New realm. I've always wanted to be a PI and help people solve mysteries, just like my heroes, Big Brain, Big Nate, Encyclopedia Brown, Fancy Nancy, the Stiltons, Thea and Geronimo Stilton. I apologize, Thea, that I haven't been giving you the credit you deserve. Also, I got your gift for me, so thank you to Thea Stilton. And all the other great kid mystery solvers. That was more on Simon's level, even though Simon was grown up. And so in season 1, Simon, with the help of G and DK, solved mysteries in the big farm in the sky. Now on season 2, for the most part, Simon's helping G and DK solve mysteries in the town's retirement community as part of their, like, a working sabbatical or their, what do you call that, self-driven education model. Now, you might say, hold on, Scoots, Simon is how's Simon? And I'd say, yeah, when you make a post-Earth transition, the only one I have information of currently for this season is a big farm. I don't know about all the other ones, other than, like, the Great Gravy Realm, which is where I'm hoping to go, you know, an entire existence of that's gravy. The Great Gravy Realm. It was a myth somewhere in the northern expanse. Anyway, so Simon went to the big farm in the sky, decided to be a PI. Oh, and G and DK helped. I said that. But so when you do make that transition, for most people, that's it. And you say, okay, this is my new life, you know, starting over. Maybe you have some sort of view screen where you could check in on Earth. Maybe not. I don't know about that. But every couple billion people, 1 out of every billion or so, maybe probably even less. But I don't know. I don't have the math on me. They can interact with people currently, like, you know what I mean? Like Casper, or things Scooby-Doo and the Mystery Machine team would, whatever they're called, the Scrappers. I don't think that's what they're called. Oh, Mystery Inc., is that what that is? But they would, like, you know, a spiritual being. That's what is a roundabout way of saying it. The reason spiritual beings are so rare, to some say, I don't even know if there are spiritual beings visiting us. It's because it's super rare, like at least from the big farm. Simon, maybe there's been 1 or 2 other people we've encountered that can fully go into the earthly realm and interact. I think there's a lot of back like setup, but it's important. Simon can come here. Simon can appear to G and DK. Simon can say, "Hey, let me move that glass of water to the other side of the table," or whatever it is. So that's how, and also that just answers any questions. You say, "Wait a second." I say, yeah, good thing this warm-up takes so long, right? So to put you to sleep, huh? But don't worry if you can't sleep, because we got a story coming up. We also have our great Hollywood, I don't know, what is this called? What do you prefer? Introducer? He's chuckling. What, can I call you the charismatic chuckler? Okay, this is Mr. Antonio Banderas, is that my friend? Yes, so kind. So, ladies and gentlemen, the boys and girls, the friends beyond the binary, it's time for the charismatic chuckler to introduce it to you. It's time to crack that case. It's time for Big Farm in the Sky, PI. Yeah. Wow, that was amazing. Maybe we could do a project together. The charismatic, like, do you have any production deals anywhere that would, we could use the charismatic chuckler? My friend, I'm speechless. What about like, are you doing any more Picasso or anything? Like, I could be your sidekick, like a fictional sidekick they say, well, this is my sidekick, the charismatic chuckler. My friend, I don't think it's, there's something in either the vowel sounds or the syllables that just doesn't make it suited for television. Charismatic chuckler. I can see your point. Might be more suited for a sleep podcast. But thanks. So just go upstairs, don't move around, and I'll be up. Probably shouldn't be drinking water anymore, because I noticed it, like, there's something with your wrist that I can hear on the mic when you're drinking water. And also so, like, if you could just sit up there again and not move around at all. Or I'll tell you what, like, as I transition into the episode, maybe just go outside, like, and go for a walk and come back in like an hour and 25 minutes. Okay, great. That's Mr. Antonio Banderas, everybody. This is Big Farm in the Sky, PI. Hey, Diane, it's me. I have a bit of an update. Simon here. And it all started with some encouragement, Diane. It was recently that G and DK said, Uncle Simon, have a seat or have a float above a chair. We need to talk to you. And I said, oh, boy, what's going on? And they said, well, have you been working on your comic, your story for the Phantom Minnow at all? And I said, well, I've been thinking about it occasionally. And they said, we'd like to help you. Like, we'd like to help you get started, get moving forward. And I said, well, it's not, that's the problem. It's just kind of floating around. I don't know. And they said, well, we think you've got a lot of good ideas. So we really like, and I said, okay, what do you need, the two of you? So you're trying to be nice to me. And they laughed. They said, no, we're not trying to be nice. We believe in you and your idea. We think you should keep working on it. And we wanted to, like, maybe you could bring some of your work materials back here. We could look at them with you, or we could just work in parallel while we're working on business plans or reading mysteries and working out what mysteries are actually possible to be solved and what aren't. And working, and I said, are you going to get, like, you're only in, like, middle school? Are you going to end up getting your PhDs in fictional solvable, like, the theories of solving mysteries versus unsolvable mysteries in entertainment? And they told me to stop changing the subject. They said, why don't you go back home? You get some of your materials you've been working on. We know you have some stuff, even some doodling or noodling. And so I headed back, and, there's one other thing is, with this transition, I said, well, there's like a lot of ways to transfer. And I said to myself, Simon, what I would like to do is, I think we had watched one of the James Bond movies, and I said, I'd like to use a chute, like a parachute, and descend out back when I go back to my house. Also, Diane, I don't know if, what your work schedule is, if you were listening to these reports, but, time, also time is strange in the big farm, or different than Earth. And I'd been spending a lot of time in Earth. And so it's different. I didn't have to do anything. I just said, okay, I'm parachuting in. And I had this great view of the area I live in from a very high viewpoint, and just kind of like zooming in on a map slowly. And I saw the ocean, I saw the islands that I didn't like. I said, well, I'd have to visit those islands. I wasn't, and then the mountains, and eventually the coastal area, and I started to head towards where I lived just naturally. And I noticed something. It was almost like a drawing around my house at this distance, Diane. I was lucky enough to want to live at beachfront property, so that I guess that naturally happens with the big farm or something. But I noticed something, I don't know what the word is for this, but a 20-sided, almost a circle around my house, Diane. But like not a perfect circle because it had 20 sides. And it was giant. I said, almost like a map, like someone had drawn it around there. But I said, did somebody like put tape outside of my house? And it was big. So my house was just a speck in the middle, but I knew it was there. And then I opened my chute, and as I got closer, I realized that it was a building, like a circular building, a gigantic building, Diane. Like I guess like a complex, like a giant circular or nearly circular, 20-sided circular like building. And I started floating down. I saw my house was directly in the center of this. So this building, they didn't move my house. They built this building around it. And I mean around it in a grand sense, so that 40% of the building was suspended over the water. So it's like they built this giant donut, almost donut-shaped like building right around my house. And I was feeling very displeased. My house was sitting there right in the center, in the beachfront, and then, grass, park-like area around my house is how I liked it. And then I started to notice people pointing at me, Diane, which at first I thought was from my chute, which had the Phantom Minnow on it, as I imagine it. From the, like, where I originally got the idea, from the antique box, that I'd seen it say Phantom Minnow. But more and more people were pointing and gathering in this park, but then I realized that I also, because I'd seen so many on TV and movies and stuff, Diane, like when the people are like shooting in, like slowly, they usually have these trails of colored smoke behind them. So I actually had a trail of rainbow Roy G. Biv smoke trailing behind me, which looked really cool when I looked up over my shoulder. And then I started to slowly circle like a bird on a thermal, like lowering. More and more people are gathering, pointing, and like shrugging and holding their hand over their mouth in amazement. And I said, well, it's not, I said, it's cool. Rainbow smoke, Phantom Minnow parachutes. And I said, well, maybe they think it's part of a show. They'll be a little disappointed and I said, and then I slowly touched down. And I just waved because I said, I want to get into my house. I didn't say anything. That's kind of important, Diane. And I landed on the side of my house, and I saw that my house there was a new, it was a hedge that was like a fence, a hedge, that was serving the purposes. I was on the outside of this hedge that wasn't there before, surrounding the backs and the side of the house. And so I walked along the hedge, and I found at the front of my house was a gate in a ticket booth, Diane. And everyone was still gathering around me as they stood in front of my house. And this was awkward because it's at the Silent Founder Museum. And then it says, here stands the original home of the Silent Founder. And everyone's pointing at me. And then another thing I noticed, Diane, that was stuck out to me, that caught my attention, was that everyone was dressed in a way like they were going to work. Like they weren't in regular wearing around town clothes, but not quite business casual. But like something you'd wear, you know what I mean? There's just a difference when I saw it collectively. I said, well, that's weird. Everybody's, usually in the big farm especially say, dress it, express it. That's what I used to say when I'd wake up. And, if you say, well, my expression is being comfortable today, I say, all right, dress it, express it, Diane. And everyone's chatting, they're talking to one another. And they were saying, at first I hadn't read the sign, so I thought they were saying violin flounder or Xylem founder. And I said, what are they talking about? And then I read the signs, and then I was looking, and someone's in the ticket booth looking at me, and I have to walk past the ticket booth just to go. And I see people like walking around my house, and I guess I overcame it, and I just walked inside. I just pretended, I just nodded my head as I walked by the ticket booth, and I saw my home had been changed into. It was kept pretty much the way I left it, but I don't know. It was more shiny. There was more pictures and frames, mostly of the cases that I had worked on, and pictures of me like working at Karmic Point stuff, which I said I don't remember those pictures being taken. It was mostly me like looking at a paper and scrunching my forehead. So I was kind of totally speechless. And also I was kind of had that, I still was thrilled from the trip in, and also so I was like speechless and dismayed. And also I still had a lot of adrenaline from coming in and having the smoke trailing behind me. And so I put it together, the Silent Founder. And I said, that must be me, so I should keep silent. So play along, Simon. And so I kind of waved at people and smiled, and they waved back and giggled, and I shrugged my shoulders, And then through the crowd into the I guess what would be say the forecourt of the museum which once was my home, came a person and they were dressed in something between more formal than business casual, but not business formal, like professionally. They were dressed in a professional way. And they said, "Thank goodness you're here. We've been waiting. We've been hoping. Can you come with me right away?" And they kind of seemed like, intent on business, but a greater business. And I gave a look of, I was thinking, I don't think I can't just sit down in my house anymore because there's people here. And so I went along and followed this person. And they were telling me that they were been concerned and they've been keeping vigil for myself and the other founder. And they said, "We're really in need of leadership. We're really, really." And then they kind of looked back and they saw my face and they said, "Oh, you haven't seen the new campus at all, huh?" Because, back when I, it's putting a few things together. I said, well, when I went to the office, when I worked in karmic billing or whatever, now the office is all around. They said, we'll give you a quick tour of campus. And Diane, I could just say, if I ever had to get a job again, I don't know where I'd work because even though this was very inconvenient, my home being made into a museum, this was a big farm. And I think when you go to a big farm, you're more resilient and able to roll with things. But I said, but this workplace, this campus, this 20-sided campus, it was amazing. It had scooters, moving walkways, floating walkways, there was even like a swim, like on the first floor, you could swim in the building, right down one side. There was a jogging path. There was even a swing if you wanted to swing on ropes. And I got this tour, and I've heard about these companies, but I had never worked for one. These companies with all these perks. This was on Earth. I heard about this, but there was restaurants, section into neighborhoods, and then there'd be work areas. Now, most everybody was milling about because it was a big to-do that I was there. So there'd be a working zone, then an eating zone, then a recreation zone. So there was a bowling alley, movie theater, chilling areas, nap pods, Diane. I said, can I get into one of these nap pods? I'd like to try a nap pod out. And indoor and outdoor plants, animals for you to pet. It was everything. Massage. There was massage areas to get massages, spas, wellness centers. They're but most of it was kind of empty. They said, "What's that room there?" And they said, "Well, that's the steaming yoga room." And I said, "Wow, everything you could imagine, Diane. Just a kind of workplace." But everywhere we went, maybe there were some people standing around, but no one was really arcade. But no one was really doing much. Everybody seemed distracted by my presence, and I don't know what it was. There was just something in the air, Diane, more than that this mysterious silent founder who I seemed to be returned. And then, as if reading my mind, this person said, "Yes, see, it's you could see how it is. It's almost all of us." And then we went to this distant place. We went to some lower levels, and they said, let me show you the one place that's still holding on. And we went into this room, Diane, and the room was empty, but it looked like, when they show mission control, across the centuries, any kind of mission control type room. Like, in the Dino movies, they had one, the last one at least. But, when people go to space or there's monitoring going on, big monitors, maps, blinking lights, noises, and then workstations and everything. And this is what this room was like. Now, every once in a while, someone would come in and pick up a piece of paper and leave. And I said, what is this? And they said, it's customer care. And I said, what's customer care? And they said, well, it's a combination of IT, customer support, and inbound customer service requests. We could call it customer care. And he said, what is all this activity? And they said, well, those are incoming support tickets. Information, this is all information about customer care. And I said, well, where is everybody? And then I heard some cheering. And because this was on a lower level, like they had their own sections, I guess customer care was sectioned off. And we went into a room, and it seemed like they may have kind of been separated from the rest of the company, obviously, as I was explaining it. Because then we went into a room that was like their like a combination area, but it was very big, very nice, Diane. I'm not knocking it. It was just all in one. So there was different areas, themed areas to eat, and there was recreation, and it was sort of bustling in there. And people were playing skee ball. That's what the cheering was. And everybody just seemed to be having a good time. And when I came in, it kind of got quiet, but not quiet in the same way. Like a quiet of who's, we're still having fun, but who's this? And then it was explained this is silent. Then it worked its way through the room, but it didn't seem to impact these customer care employees in the same way. And the person I was with, they were very impacted by all this, and they had their eyes started to water. And this, Diane, I was very confused, I'll be honest with you. Because I didn't and then we stepped, they stepped out of the room. So I felt like I needed to step out of the room. So I waved, and they were drying their eyes and experiencing their feelings. And they said, I'm sorry, it's just, such a contrast. That's what we all used to have as a company. And now it's just not, we've and they explained how the original founder who hired me, and Diane, it's been, I don't know, I stopped thinking about that person, except when I realized I wasn't getting my, work done. I was hanging out with G and DK. And they said, this is a glum contrast to what we have now as a company. It's all our focus is lost. It was lost with the founder. And, life drained out of the company. And I said, I don't know anything about this company. I just worked. This was I was thinking myself how to become a founder. And also I was like, do they know they're in the big, I said, they know they're in the big farm in the sky. Like that, I said, is there some, I said, maybe there's things I don't know. And I said, well, that's probably correct. And then they said, this person said, well, let's go back to your office. And we went up to an office that was pretty easy to access. They also had portals, which I didn't tell you earlier, Diane. So if you wanted to get somewhere quick, you could go through one of these portals. And I thought to myself, because I was still being silent, that I would like some of the, what are those called? Vacuum tube. I'd like to go by vacuum tube next time. And as we got to the area around my office, there was more just people that just seemed I don't know, expecting something from me, to relieve them of their glumness. And I showed the office and I said, I made I tried to make a universal, without speaking sign that I needed some alone time. And it ended up, they actually moved my office from my home here with all my stuff. So that was nice, whoever did that, to respect my things. And actually, the office was actually remade, like it was actually the interior of my house, so that wasn't a museum. So that was very comforting. So I found myself back where I kind of felt comfortable, my own safe place, Diane. And I said, I got to get a hold of G&DK because I have no idea what's freaking going on here. And it seems like so I got a hold of them. I just, called them like I used to from the big farm. And they said, tell us everything. And I said, I think all of these, I said, I'm pretty sure this other founder is up to something, one. And two, that all these people are working and they don't even need to be here. So unless there's some sort of, unless karmic points are real and they're all getting paid in karmic points, I said, maybe we should just shut this place down. And G&DK said, no, this is our case. And I said, well, what part is it our case? Like finding out who this founder is and what they're up to or whatever. And they said, no, figuring out what you're supposed to do. Who's the silent founder? And I said, well, when I was walking some of the halls, there was a lot of pictures of me, a lot of mythology about the founding of the company. And they said, okay. And they said, what else do we know? And I said, well, we're in a giant campus. I would say there's room for thousands of employees here. And it looked like and they said, okay, big company. And they said, okay. And I said, the employees, everybody seems unhappy, might be the wrong word, but let's just say that for now. And they said, all the employees are unhappy, the same level of unhappiness. And I said, well, there's some people that work in customer service, or no, customer care. Those ones are happy. And they said, okay, that's important, Simon. Good. And they said, what's customer care? And I said, well, when you have an issue like with your, getting logged in or, something to say the top won't go back on that thing, I think that's customer care. Or you say, hey, how do you charge this bad? Or they say, oh, that's customer care. Problems and complaints, I think. And they said, okay. And they're happy. And I said, well, they seem to be having fun when I saw them. And they said, they're the only, did you see any? And I said, no one else at all. Everybody else ranged from glum to serious. I mean, I think maybe, what do we do? What if we just crack the case? We just give everyone a job in customer support. No, you're right. So what's an exit interview? Okay. Well, what if we could get former? I don't know if anybody doesn't work here. I could find that out. But I can't actually. I'm supposed to be the silent founder. So what if? Here's an idea, G&DK. What if you think if we announce a restructuring, or you two are consultants? Like, what if? I know this. We've never done this before, really. But what if I use here's one of the things I learned about the Phantom Minnow as I've been playing around. Is I think I figured out, it's confusing, but I know I can carry you to, you'll physically still be in the earthly realm, and you won't be able to do anything on your own here, but I could project you into this big farm realm, and you could kind of see, as long as I'm there, and you could appear. Now you'll appear in a kind of a more interesting way. Like you'll be giant, like 3D projections. So what if I project the two of you? I call a company-wide meeting. I project the two of you, and maybe we do exit interviews, and maybe can we do interview employees? It'll be like we're Skyping in two consultants, like spiritual Skype. Okay, that's good. Dan, I'll be right back while we get this plan going. Hey, Diane, it's me. I'm back. I wasn't, I don't go for long. So here's some news, Diane. Most of the people here liked working here, and they still do. We've put calls out to former employees. We haven't got that done yet. So we know that. G&D, I'm also recounting this for G&DK because they're formulating something. Also, I still have no idea what this company is or what it does, Diane. It involves karmic points. So everyone's involved in karmic points in different departments. And no one can even explain to G or DK, who are actually good at asking questions. No one understands what it really is. They said, what's the karmic? It's the universal unit of exchange in the post-earthly realm. And I said, okay, so what is your job exactly involving karmic points? Like the G and DK practiced on me. And I said, I think I was in charge of assessing value, or I can't remember because my mind glazed over after they said, and so that was kind of how it was like, some people would have phrased it in different ways. Yeah, so everyone was involved in these karmic credits or karmic points. No one can explain it, and no one really knew what their job, they only had a vague sense of what their job was. Just like me, Diane. I said, well, this really validated me in some sense. And everyone loved being here as a part of the team, except, that's why we're trying to find the people that don't work here anymore. But here's my thing, Diane. I feel a little bit guilty saying this because I left work. I don't think anybody's doing it. Not only do they not know what they're doing, I don't think anyone was getting very much work done when they were working. And that just leads me to wonder about this other founder, Diane. I just don't I thinking, but G and DK, they're whispering to one another. And they said, we have a plan. Sorry, I'm just letting Diane know. So you have a plan. Okay. Well, I don't think it's not my problem is that the big farm in the CIA is not a tech startup. So I don't know if I want to be I think we should just dissolve the company. No. We got to get to the bottom of it. Oh, wait a second. I gave you a new idea. What do you mean? Well, tech startup, that's what I said. What do tech startups do? I don't know. They're like technological things. Oh, what is one method they use? Oh, A/B testing. Yes. Wait, so we're going to do A/B testing? Oh, we're going to do ABC and maybe D testing. So we're going to make an announcement. Oh, that's the restructuring. Okay, this sounds interesting. Diana, I hope you're hearing all this. Okay, so we're going to call the great and amazing restructuring. Okay. So they're already making a speech company wide. So we're going to give out assignments to different parts and new divisions of the company and some established divisions as a part of our visioneering and research. And these will be temporary experimental assignments, so no one has to feel pressured to stay. Okay, so well, I don't know what G and DK. Okay, so some employees are going to get the full benefits of employment without having to do any work. So they could come to work, they can hang out. They're going to keep all of their perks and pay. Wow, G and DK are generous. Holy cow. And they're just going to come and enjoy themselves every day. Okay, people seem, they're wondering about this. Everybody's always wondering. Okay, some of them are going to return to work at karmic credits. Oh, this is the part I had to do with. Yeah, but to actually figure out what the heck it is. That's my words, Diane, not theirs. So they're going to break karmic credits into much smaller, more focused tasks. Everybody looks confused still about the karmic credits, but they said G and DK are kind of explaining that part of the restructuring is just going to be taking that into the smallest discrete parts and working on those. So that's a part of our corporate group or whatever. And another group is, this is only C though. Another group's going to be moving to customer care. They're going to be expanding customer care. Okay, Diane, let me take it. I'll be right back what we see. Okay, Diane, I'm back. That was a microsecond for me, but so we went to work, Diane, and, I thought, I had a good feeling about this focused group. I said, we're going to figure out the karmic credits are. We're going to figure out what this, indirectly, we'll figure out who this founder is and what they were doing. We'll also figure out if karmic points are real or not. Like if we keep breaking it down and get a better understanding of what the mythology around this is and why. And how I got roped into it. That's one thing I don't know. But GNDK said, don't worry about it. But I've been kind of I monitored that group for a while, Diane. Like I would be in the room when everybody was working, and GNDK kind of helped give out the assignments, and then some of the other management staff, they kind of grasped it, and they said, okay, like, what are ideas of karma? What are like concrete versions? Is that ever a proven theory? It was a few weeks. We tried to ramp it up slowly, but oh boy, did all of my, everything I thought like, like all my expectations were wrong, because I thought these people would be working with a purpose and now they have a mission. We kept talking about the mission as we were slowly. We had meetings with I statements, so everybody felt involved. We talked about, what our shared goals are. At the end of every day, we said, well, what are our wins? We tried to celebrate those wins. But no one seemed to like it, Diane. I mean, basically, people were asking to be transferred, even with it, like even after all the time, or just sitting at their desks. I mean, people would get the work done, but again, I don't know, it just no one was enjoying it. And I know there's a myth that you're supposed to be happy at work, but this wasn't even middle of the road happy. And then the second group, Diane, was the same thing. Like the people that came to work and didn't have to work, they were like, it was like a mirror image or something, but like a real mirror image where you say, well, this looks the same. It's just a little bit different, because we ramped up employee programming to when it was at its peak. So there was constantly seminars, like everything was in use, bowling leagues, we brought in different, they said, but you want to take a cooking class, you want to do learn how to do speech writing, swim, relay races, everything you could dream of, for a workplace where you're not doing any work. And none of it was mandatory. So you could just chill, play video games, you could sleep, go to the movies. And it was all joyless, Diane. No one liked it one bit. So there was that. Then we have customer care. And that one, even with more employees, everybody was happy there. And there's just this vibrant energy there at all times. All the employees would get along. They would all be, they were constantly doing fun things. They were taking advantage, they expanded into the main building a little bit. They said in the past, the customer care employees were just under a little bit different duress. So that's why they were separated. And this was, I just found baffling that, and they said, well, maybe it's that they're doing a service job that's customer care. Maybe that's, I talked to GNDK about this. And then that forms a tighter bond among the employees. And they had specific tasks, but I hadn't been observing them. So then GNDK said, go work there and observe for a few weeks. And here's the thing I found out, Diane, they're not doing any work there either. And I watched it. Then I started doing my own interviews where I was trying to be indirect. And basically, they would do pre-work where they would come in and check the support tickets, but no work ever got done. And so I worked very hard at doing these interviews where I wasn't saying, you're not doing it, where I was trying to, set aside my preconceived notions. And when I said, well, what is it? Tell me more about these support tickets. I notice you check them in the morning and then you don't, no tickets have ever actually been, in the solution pile is 0 tickets. And they explained a couple things to me that I did not know, Diane. One, we don't have any customers. Two, we don't have any products or services. So we have no products, no services, and no customers, but thousands and thousands of support tickets come in every day. And I was really curious about this. I said, well, tell me more, each person. And finally, one of the engineers there said, well, we call it triple CUR. So CCCU-UR, triple CUR. It's the collective customer care universal residue. And they said, even though we don't have a product, some people still have a problem using our product or service. Some people object to it. Some people are unsatisfied. And I said, but it doesn't exist. He said, also people are unhappy, even though we're not doing any customer service. People are unhappy with our customer service. Even though we don't have a public-facing company, they're unhappy with our public image. They want to return defective items. And I said, who is this some sort of mystical occurrence? Like, what is it? And I said, who's doing this? And they said, it's human beings. They said, even in the post-earthly life, there's still human beings. And so I said, people are putting in support tickets for things they never used. And they say, I got to go back. There's another birthday party at 11:07. So I said, go ahead. I got it now. They still didn't understand it, Diane. And then we had one more round of interviews at G and DK had finally round up the D group, or the D testing, which were people that used to work here that no longer did. And they were so hard to track down because they had totally moved on. So anyone that was no longer an employee had moved on to something else. And these people, Diane, they were happy. As happy as the customer care people, about the same, not 100% happy. And some of them had been doing independent things or hobbyist things with their time. Some had joined other communities or community-based activities or explore, they're just doing things in the big farm in the sky, kind of like me. Like I became a PI. But they were involved in something. And I guess that's when the case just cracked for me, Diane. It's like this place is, so those people found their thing. And this thing maybe is for the people that haven't yet. Or maybe this is their thing. Diane, I got to go check with G and DK. I'll be right back. All right, Diane, here to wrap up. This case is closed almost, or more or less it's closed. So we restructured the company with that in mind. Because G and DK told me this story that I'll try to give you, Diane, really quick. They said, did we ever tell you about the best tacos we've ever had? And I said, no. And they said, well, and this is how we ended up here, like running our own business and inspired by you, Uncle Simon. They said one day we were allowed to go to this seminar outside of school, and the seminar ended at 12:50, even though school ends at 2:20. And our teacher said, when the seminar ends, you could just go home. Your school day's over. And at 12:50, we happened to be in this neighborhood in East Los Angeles. This is where the seminar was. And we went to go get tacos for a late lunch. And they said they were the greatest tacos we'd ever tasted. And I said, well, where's the, I'd like to hear more about it. And they said, well, the tacos were good, but it was more the taste of the taco at 12:50. And then they said, and I said, I don't get it. And they said, we were eating tacos when we should have been in school, but we weren't breaking any rules. We were allowed to be eating those tacos. But part of us knew we'd be tasting chalk or whatever a digital board tastes like, sitting in our desks. And so, and I said, okay, I think I get it. Sorry, it probably was a better story if I wasn't as confused. But I said, the greatest time, I said, oh, okay. So I said, the company's kind of like that, I guess. And, if you're at work and not working, it's like heaven if it's but you have to have work to do. And so we split the company into 3 parts, Dan. We expanded customer care to 1/3 of the company, assuming that those triple C URs would keep coming in. And I said, what if we open it, have this power? And so we've actually opened up a little bit of the triple C UR to the earthly realm. And hopefully it makes things better on Earth. Like we're off-gassing some of the collective customer care universal residue, or when care changes into COMIP, that stuff. We're off-gassing that, and we're outsourcing it to here, where the tickets aren't getting, they just sit in. So it's great, Diane. I mean, we don't have any products we don't have customers to care for. We would if we could. So we have that. We have a division of the company still working on karmic points, just in case it is a thing that none of us understand at all. I mean, we all understand the general concept of karma. And I don't know if this other founder was more enlightened than I'm thinking, and that this was just like a red herring or something, but I don't know, Diane. And then the third part of the company, especially with my interviews with the people that have left, we've created a Phantom Minnow Creative. And basically, this is great, Diane, and it actually fits me perfectly. It's a creative division of the company where you're supposed to introduce if you procrastinate on creative things, you can finally enjoy things now, because you're supposed to do your creative things, but you're not expected to, and we don't even know how that'll turn out. I mean, right now it's going great. Most of the people are enjoying it. They do actually work on their projects a little bit. Even I have done some doodling, imagining, the Phantom Minnow, just rescuing earthly realm from customer care, universal residue, but talking to, maybe Carl Jung and I will go and look into it. That's one of the cartoons I drew. But yeah, some of the other employees are working on that, and some are just not working on it, but enjoying not working on it. And that's, I think, what this whole company's about, is enjoying being at work and not working. I guess that's why it's not this is a big farm in the sky, Diane, clearly. But I think some of these people in Phantom Minnow Creative are going to be transitioning out of the company, and that'll be a good thing, too. And I think we'll all find I'm going back to Florida with G and DK, and I'm going to come visit and check on things. But I think the management team will be just fine without me. Anyway, Diane, good night. I got to go I'm going to get some rest, and I'll see you soon. I want to thank everybody for the show on Patreon. Our new patrons, Johanna, Emma, and Lisa. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Alexandra, Take My Money, and Anna, thanks, and good night. Evan, Anders, and Caleb with a K, thanks, and good night. Anna, Adam, and Joshua, thank you, thanks, and good night. Colin, Lori, and Thomas, thank you, thanks, and good night. Dana, Seth, and Eric, thanks, and good night. Stephen, Tracy, and Leah, thanks, and good night. Patty, Phil, and Valerie, thanks, and good night. Rob, Rosie, and Beth, thank you, thanks, and good night. Kathleen, Ann, and Michael, thank you, thanks, and good night. Solomon, Gisela, and Susan, thanks, and good night. Emma, S, and Zach, thanks, and good night. Zach, Jack, and Allison, that worked out, thanks, and good night. Benjamin, Kyle, and Francesca, thank you, thanks, good night. Kristen, Jennifer, and Christopher, thank you, thanks, good night. Thomas, Maggie, and Jana, thanks, good night. Angie, Emmy, and Ed, thanks, good night. Garrett, Amy, and Eric, thanks, good night. Yana, Thomas, and Rebecca, thanks, good night. Claire, Janet, and Fiona, thanks, good night. Judy, Jennifer, and Josh, thanks, and good night. Brian, Max, and Laura, thank you, thanks, and good night. Jen, Leslie, and Rachel, thanks, and good night. Sarah, Kaylina, and Linda, thanks, and good night. Sarah, Christine, and Hallie, thank you, thanks, and good night. Brittany, Paul, and Kimberly, thank you, thanks, and good night. Beck, Kimberly, and Mallory, thank you, thanks, and good night. Jillian, Cara, and Leslie, thanks, and good night. Jared, Lael, and Patricia, thanks, and good night. Adam, Rachel, and Alana, thanks, and good night. Monica, Jessica, and Wendy, thanks, and good night. And Kira and Claire, thanks, and good night. Sleep With Me is a proud member of Night Vale Presents. You can check out all the amazing shows, including one of the newest members of the family, Harry Potter and the Sacred Text. Definitely worth checking out if you love Harry Potter, or if you're interested in spirituality or just human connection and fun. Check it out, Harry Potter and the Sacred Text. We're also a member of PRX. You can see everything they're doing at prx.org. And the reason I list all those people and thank them is because Sleep With Me exists as a free podcast because of direct listener action to support the show. A podcast, don't all support for the show comes directly versus if you play it, we don't necessarily. It's not like music where you just stream it and we get a whatever commission or whatever the heck. So I just want to thank everybody who supports the show directly on Patreon, through other means, and who directly supports the sponsors because we appreciate it. That's how that literally is what keeps the show going. We also grow, and this is another huge thank you, it's by people just naturally spreading the word about the show. So thank you for doing that. And that's it. Plenty more episodes, though, ready to go if you need them. I'm here. Good night.